What if I told you that your favorite celeb, the one you admire, spent time behind bars? Yep, you heard that right. From shocking scandals to hidden controversies, these 10 famous faces traded the red carpet for a prison cell. But the real question is, what exactly landed them there? So let's get started. 10. Robert Downey Jr. We're starting our list with a massive star today.
I am Iron Man.
But back in the 90s, his life was an absolute roller coaster of chaos. In 1996, he was arrested on Sunset Boulevard for overspeeding and found with cocaine, heroin, and a pistol. But the things got worse when he broke into his neighbor's house and fell asleep in one of their bedrooms. This led to a 3-year probation and mandatory drug tests. When he missed one test, he ended up in jail for 6 months. And after another missed test in 1999, he was sentenced to 3 more years. He served nearly a year before turning his life around and becoming the Iron Man we know today. Nine. Mark Wahlberg. His troubled past is often overlooked today, but as a teenager, he committed serious race-related crimes. At age 15, he attacked a group of African-American kids, throwing rocks and insult their ancestors. A year later, he assaulted 2 Vietnamese men while shouting their racist insults. He was charged with his crimes and sent to prison for 45 days. Despite his brief time behind bars, 4 years later, Wahlberg broke his neighbor's jaw in an unprovoked attack, which was settled out of court.
I've been working for 27 years to right the wrongs that I've done and the mistakes that I've made as a child.
8. Mike Tyson. Considered one of the greatest heavyweight boxers in history, Tyson's story is filled with both triumphs and controversies. Despite admitting to assaulting his ex-wife and facing charges for drug possession, he made headlines for raping an 18-year-old that earning him a 6-year sentence, though he served only 3. Yet, instead of disturbing his career, this only seemed to fuel his comeback. Tyson returned to the ring, headlining some of the most talked-about fights, including the infamous ear-biting incident with Evander Holyfield. 7. Tim Allen. Long before he became everyone's favorite in home improvement, Tim Allen was living a very different life. In 1978, he was arrested at Kalamazoo Airport with over a pound of cocaine in his possession. He initially faced a life sentence, but in a desperate move, Allen cooperated with authorities, providing names of other dealers and cutting his time down to just over 2 years. That stint in prison turned out to be a turning point. After his release, Allen left his life of crime behind and found his true calling in comedy. With a booming career in TV and film, it's safe to say he made the right choice.
Drugs and alcohol free for about 22 years. I've been in a different program a little bit, yeah.
6. James Brown. Known as the Godfather of Soul, James Brown had his fair share of run-ins with the law. His rap sheet includes theft, assault, drug possession, and more. One of his most notorious incidents was a high-speed chase on Interstate 20, which led to his arrest for carrying an unlicensed pistol, assaulting a police officer, and multiple drug and driving offenses. Brown was initially sentenced to 6 years, but ended up serving only 2. Despite his legal troubles, Brown's career endured, and he continued making music and performing until his passing on Christmas Day, 2006. 5. Lindsay Lohan. Her mid-2000s were a whirlwind of chaos as the former child star's life spiraled out of control. Prioritizing partying over her once promising acting career, Lohan racked up multiple arrests for DUI and drug possession.
I said I made a mistake. I went to a club, and then I drank and I drove home, and that's not the right thing.
Despite being sentenced 3 times in a jail, she barely spent any time behind bars, her first session lasting just in 84 minutes thanks to overcrowding. But while her struggles with addiction made headlines, Lohan's story didn't end there. After countless relief from stints and setbacks, she's now on a path to redemption, determined to reclaim her place in Hollywood and finally leave her troubled past behind. 4. Wesley Snipes. In the 90s, Wesley Snipes was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, with hits like New Jack City, White Men Can't Jump, and Demolition Man under his belt. But while he was collecting the cash, there was one small problem. He wasn't paying his taxes. Snipes submitted false tax claims in the late 90s and didn't file returns at all from 1999 to 2004. When the IRS finally caught up with him, Snipes tried to fight the charges, but it was a losing battle. Instead of coughing up the $5 million he owed, he was slapped with a 3-year prison sentence, spending few months on house arrest. If there's one lesson to take away from this case, always pay your taxes. 3. Tommy Lee. Thanks to the Hulu series Pam and Tommy, the wild past of Motley Crue drummer, Tommy Lee start making headlines. During his rocky marriage to Pamela Anderson, things hit a breaking point when a heated argument turned violent and Lee attacked his then-wife. This led to a 6-month sentence in county jail, which marked the beginning of the end for their relationship. Shortly after his release, the iconic couple called it quits, but their turbulent history continues to fascinate fans and fuel the legacy of rock and roll's wildest drummer. 2. Danny Trejo. A true tough guy both on and off screen, Danny Trejo's life wasn't always about fame and movies. From 1959 to 1969, he bounced in and out of prison for drug-related crimes, battling heroin addiction while also picking up boxing. His turning point came during a street fight at San Quentin, where he attacked a guard and faced a potential life sentence. But in solitary imprisonment, Trejo found faith. After his release, he turned his life around, starting as an extra on Runaway Train and eventually becoming an action icon in films like Heat, Con Air, and Machete. Today, Trejo's a Hollywood star, restaurant owner, author, and video game character, proving redemption is real. One, O.J. Simpson. No list of celebrities who ended up behind bars is complete without the infamous O.J. Simpson. Once a beloved NFL star and Hollywood figure, his world unraveled in 1994 when he was charged with the brutal murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. Despite a highly publicized trial that gripped the nation, Simpson was shockingly declared innocent.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
But his reputation was shattered, and a civil suit later found him liable for $33.5 million, which he avoided paying by moving to Florida. If that wasn't enough, in 2007, Simpson found himself in serious trouble again, this time for armed robbery. He was sentenced to 33 years in jail, but served 9 before being released. Today, he lives in Las Vegas, but the shadow of his past follows him everywhere. And there you have it, 10 celebrities who found themselves behind bars. So next time you see one of these celebs on the big screen, remember, everyone's got a past, but it's what they do after that makes the headlines. Keep watching for more jaw-dropping stories.